student loan debt crisis in college that's unaffordable, which holds back Black Americans from becoming lawyers and accountants? Is he gonna say no? See, that's the true problem because liberals. They always want to misdirect the problem. They say the right thing, but the problem is capitalism. That's why Black businesses fail, and that's why Black businesses failed before.
He also leaves out the fact that Black people, on average, were usually charged higher interest rates.
Yep.
The author of the bankruptcy bill, you know, is the one who's saying that we don't have black accountants. That's kind of funny, you know. Maybe we would have more black accountants if they didn't have to avoid not going to college because they would be getting student loan debt. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, you know. CJ? What's your
You
thought?
guys know. You guys actually know, and this is, to be fair, this is a few years old, and I'm gonna get CJ in here, and I'm gonna get your thoughts on this topic. But you guys know Black women are actually the highest percentage educated in America. And I'm gonna see
Yep.
if I can find an article. I read that a long time ago, so I don't know what the recent study show. That may be like a 5, 6 year old study. But so that's just go despite the fact that a lot of liberals believe they just believe we're an uneducated community who not doing well wealth wise because we deserve it. That's that whether they want to believe it or not. That's the heart of what liberal ideology believes. That they believe that we jail 25% of the world's prison population because America is just inherently bad because the Black community is inherently bad. They don't say it out loud, but that's what they're saying with the implication of the policy. What are your thoughts on that, CJ? I want to get you in here.
Well, as far as neoliberalism and capitalism, I mean, they're never going to admit the real reason. So really, this is just them just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks. But I mean, I just want to piggyback on what everybody else is already uh, saying, and that is black businesses have a bigger problem than what they're saying. And to me, it still comes down to one of the basic functions of the society that's being felt by the black community, and that's our education, and that's the foundation of everything. Like you can't get around helping the black community without fixing the educational system in the black community. Like
Hmm.
they're trying to fix everything. Like you can't fix crime without fixing that. You
Hmm.
can't fix economics without fixing that. Like you have to fix the underfunded schools. You have to get these schools up to par, and that's the foundation for everything. That's the foundation for black people being able to succeed in order to establish businesses. It starts there. And what neoliberalism does, Democrats in particular, is they want to come up with all the other solutions around the big solutions that's staring them right dead in the face, and that's spending more money. And they can't do that on the 99%, in particular, the black community.
Actually, that's actually a good segue. Meg, you're an educator. So, what about, what CJ said? How does that square with your experience as a teacher? You're muted.
Yeah, just unmute, man.
Sorry. Sorry about that.
Hmm.
Speak to it from like seeing some of the struggles that a lot of my students face. Like I'm from a very rural area, and I can tell you just from that, like the poverty levels that are in our community, and even the segregation that is in our community, that basically a lot, especially like the black neighborhood, especially will be definitely underdeveloped,
Hmm.
and that impacts a lot of the, like, I'm trying to find the best way of phrasing it, but
Hmm.
just the level of which schools you get to go to, particularly in our community, because we have like two elementary schools that are in our community, and
Hmm.
one is definitely performing better than the other,
Hmm.
depending on where those kids live in that neighborhood. Like some of them get to go to the better school, some of them get to go to the not so great school,
Hmm.
and in that school in particular, they're basically, if especially if they have behavioral problems that are related to whether they're eating, what their home situation is like,
Hmm.
then they get funneled into the ESC program and basically said, oh, their behavioral problems are not our problems. So we're just going to funnel them uh, into these particular classrooms. That way, and a lot of my kids, when they reached seventh grade, because I was teaching seventh grade, and I'm not even a full time teacher. Like, I'm a long term substitute, so I don't have a lot of the training that a lot of other teachers have in order to deal with some of the problems that they're facing. Even the teachers that do have the education and the certification in order to deal with those issues, like, they're just overwhelmed. They
Hmm.
more than they need. And too often, like, I have kids in my seventh grade class who can't read.
Wow. This actually kind of goes in line with we have kind of like an education red line. Just like when we have
Mm-hmm.
a housing red line,
Hmm.
redlining is an education redlining. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Sabrina. I'm not exactly sure where you grew up, but did you notice any of the things that Meg has been observing from a teacher's aspect as from an outsider's aspect?
Oh, most definitely. I grew up in different places because my dad was military,
Hmm.
but I did notice a difference when we came from Germany. I went to Dodge schools, and those are basically like American schools
Hmm.
overseas. And for a short period of time, I had to go to school in Baltimore because we were in between, my dad was in between locations. And I did notice a big difference when I went to school in Baltimore. It was for like 3 months. The schools were seriously underfunded. And I'm talking where going into classrooms, not having books, not having a computer lab, things that I had from the previous schools that I came from. So I did notice the big difference. In the city, it just, the education system is funded by, or public education system is funded by property taxes.
Hmm.
So if you're in a neighborhood where it's lower income, the schools have less resources. So you really have to change that. You have to take away funding schools based on property taxes because that in itself is racist. That's why if you go out to, the white suburban neighborhoods, they don't have this issue. So I like to tell people every now and then that, like, even though Brown versus Board of Education helped somewhat, we're still not that far removed from it because of property taxes. So you still have schools that are unequal. So that really didn't change as much as people think it did. And when white people moved out of the city and moved to the suburbs for white flight, that really, really hurt the people who were left in the city because they took the money with them. So I noticed those disparities as well.
But just
Okay.
just let me just say this. Just think about that. We
Hmm.
have an educational system that's lopsided like this, where everybody knows it, nothing is done. Like,
Yeah.
people in the inner cities don't own property, so therefore there's going to be less revenue from taxes. This, it's been known for decades, yet nothing happens. A while ago, I did this tweet. It kind of talks about this, where now the tweet was about Black people, but it does apply to everybody, anybody that's being oppressed. But we're expected to go through underfunded schools, slave patrols of our neighborhoods, no economic opportunity in our neighborhoods, and then achieve the American dream. And when we don't, it's us. You see how it's set up to where we're to make us look like it's like it's our doing. It's because
Hmm.
it's innate, Black people. So you don't have to. So a racist system doesn't have to say Black people are this if you just prove it every day by the system and what it produces. You get what I'm saying? So people just subconsciously are going to start saying, well, Black people may be a little bit like that because you know, look how long they've been out of slavery, and look what they're where they still are, missing the whole fact of the system that's still oppressing us. So that is just the point that I wanted to interject there.
Thank you very much. I also we had just got one of our premier FHL co-host in Rome. He's an activist of the host of Rome's Rebellion. Rome, uh, good to see you. We're talking, as you know, about education, especially in the terms of neoliberalism, the disparaging comments that Joe Biden has given about black people, especially in regards to the Tulsa race massacre, saying that, for instance, you don't really see many black accountants. What are your thoughts?
Uh, of course, I think that nigga is a racist. But overall, I don't know if he see black accounts. I can't speak for what he has seen in his eyes, but I know I have seen all types of black people, brown people, all types of color people doing all types of things. So um, we all know that he's old school with his racism. So even if he was to see a black accountant, he probably say, "Hey, can you pick that up for me?" Something like that. Um, and as far as the education system, all of y'all right. I was talking about this, I believe, in the winter when I first got like two Twitters ago. I was talking about this. I was going around Detroit and showing people how dangerous it is funding schools with property taxes. People in my neighborhood haven't owned homes since fucking 70s, man. And most of them are dying off now because they just mostly boomers. You know what I'm saying? It's mostly boomers that's homeowners. They either selling out to the bank, get mortgages or whatnot. More likely, no school over there is getting funded. I seen them knock over 40 something schools in Detroit in one summer. And this is what happens when we are funding schools inside of low income housing with the lottery and property taxes. So we're gonna need like CJ said, everybody know the solutions, but nobody is going for them. A big reason why is just because our life get better doesn't mean their life get better. If we go up, they go down, or if we go up, we get higher to a middle ground with them. And a lot of people do not want to be on a playing field with us, no matter if they say they want Medicare for all and this and that, black rights, trans rights, whatever rights. A lot of these people are lying. They're trying to save face. If we was to really get black education, black people education that they need, then black people are going to really start owning businesses, and that means we're not going to be working for Walmart or half of these motherfuckers out here. We're going to keep that money inside of our communities, keep that knowledge inside of our community. So we don't, they don't want every all black people with this education, because they know once we figure out that all we have to do is pull each other up, it's over. And one thing that, from the capitalist to the wannabe capitalist, that's a store manager. One thing they don't want is us educating each other and unionizing each other on what's important.
Hey, Rome, I had a follow up question for you, and that is, do you think it's all about keeping a permanent labor class? Like, if everybody's getting a great education and everybody's able to go to college, who's going to work these low
Yes.
paying jobs? Like, do you think that is one of the motives, or maybe the ultimate
Oh,
motive for
yes,
that?
because as we can see right now, we still have slave labor in this country. I mean, we do this with the prisons. Look how the prison system is ran. Look how they do you once you get this number. Like I was explaining to people, once you get the misdemeanor, you are put into
Hmm.
this prison industrial complex. You know what I'm saying? And you almost never make it out. So now they put a leash on you. It's the same thing. It's the same things, just a different workforce. This way, this time you can take pride in what you do. you know. But it's the same shit. They need people on the ground in order to step up. And I always tell people, like, look, we have to. There's no more. I'm gonna come back for you, dog. I'm gonna come back to the hood and come back and get you. No, no, no. If you going out the hood, I'm going with you, because that's how we move up together. It's no more of that black capitalist shit. Because all we're gonna do at the end of the day is find another way to step on each other.
Hmm.
Thank you for that, Rome.
Hey, JB,
Yes, ma'am.
can I just make one more point on that fact? Because I
Sure.
think that what Rome was just referring to. I think that I actually had a American government professor in when I was at community college that made an excellent point that I think really highlights what is really going on, particularly since like the 1960s, 1970s. And that the thing that she told my class was that ever since the 1960s, when we had all these movements, like the civil rights movement, the anti-war movement, the women's movement, like ever since we had all these movements occur during the 1960s, when they developed the Department of Education, one of their big motivations was let's not have this happen ever again. So when they developed the Department of Education, they made their goal was basically to say, let's treat them like mushrooms. That's our goal. Treat everyone like mushrooms. Keep them in the dark, feed them shit. That's the thing that she told us. And I definitely think that that's what we're seeing more and more, particularly when you talk about our education system, our media. What are they all doing? They're feeding us bullshit and keeping us in the dark and what is actually happening. And that's what is keeping us, continues to keep us divided as well, and keeping us undereducated. What they're not telling us what's really going on to keep us compliant, to keep that labor class, as CJ so artfully said. And all these things are connected to one another. Keep us uneducated, keep us compliant. And that's basically what it comes down to.
Just like somebody just pointed out in the community, they just said just not that. They need you poor enough to go, join the military. Yeah. Forgive me, I just woke up. I literally just woke up from in my office. But yeah, they need you dumb enough to fill these prisons. They need you poor enough on your ass to go out and fight brown people who don't have a damn thing to do with your life. They need you down in order to step you. So no matter how you look at it, no matter what type of system it is that we fall into as people in America, we're going to fall under some system because they all have a monopoly under every last one. And labor is needed for every last one.
Just,
And
I mean, just
you
think
do not
about it.
need your brain to work. You literally are seen as a robot, are seen as numbers. You don't need this. We don't need these people with masters to work, because then they're gonna start bringing more smart people in, and then they're gonna get smarter than the manager, and then somebody's gonna end up taking over the company. We don't need that. We need you to know 1 + 1 = 2. Packages, ship this, do that, go home, repeat. That's it. Don't even think about it.
We discuss some ways that they uphold their neoliberal capitalist system, how they maintain their wealth and keep our communities down. And I want to emphasize that the media establishment and their goons and the capitalist class want nothing more than us to fear our neighbor, to fear the people next to us, so we can't organize together to challenge the ruling class. I don't buy this nonsense that we're not supposed to work with people, that we're supposed to be afraid of people because what side they're supposed to represent. I mean, if you look at the ruling class that they uphold and they uplift, they are to the right. They are more unhinged than our neighbors, even the neighbors that are supposedly Republican. Because one out of 4 Republicans support Medicare for all. So go to a Trump rally, go to any Republican organized event where they're actually voters. Count 1, 2, 3, support Medicare for all. 1, 2, 3, support Medicare for all. Most of them support decriminalizing marijuana. They want to end the new Jim Crow. These same people also support $2,000 monthly checks during COVID. But they want us to believe that we are enemies of each other instead of politicians. They want us to be afraid of our neighbors, but they want us to donate to the Democratic Party, who oppose these racist white supremacist systems. These same people, we're supposed to be afraid of these people. We're supposed to be afraid of our neighbors who supposed to look different than us. But we supposed to like Kamala Harris, who looks like us, but who's complicit with the prison industrial complex that we are laying out right now. It's very funny because I also want to mention this. Speaking of Kamala Harris, she is known for using prison slave labor. We still have a border crisis, despite the fact the Democratic Party promised that it was going to end that, and they assigned Kamala Harris to figure out the root problem of the immigration crisis and stop the border crisis. Now there's a new story that came out that now ICE is using slave labor. So this is what the Democratic Party do. They run on flags and rainbows and pride. Like you see Boeing, you see the CIA. They using woke language now. They pretend to be your friend, but meanwhile they prop up this oppressive system that they claim they're fighting. And that's why we have our show. This is why they are. This is why people are putting heat on us. This is why they're trying to go after us, because we are destroying this illusion, this red blue nonsense. People are upset because we are calling out this red blue nonsense for what it is. To me, the game is very simple. You support the policies that uplift my community, and you challenge the ruling class warmongers and white collar criminals. You're an ally. Let's get stuff done together. Let's hold the ruling class accountable. But what they want us to do, they want us to fight amongst each other, and there's so many morons that fall for it. And we are not about that here at the Hampton Leftists. We punch up, and we want to challenge the capitalist class. Go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, in just American culture, society, we have to get out of this concept of teams when we're talking about politics. Like there's not teams. You're working for a goal. So, for example, there's just coalitions. I don't need to give an example. It's a coalition. So if I believe in Medicare for all, and guy A believes in it and girl C believes in it, for Medicare for all, we create a coalition to get that. There may be another coalition where I'm on the opposite sides of these two people. So, and our politics have gotten to where if you disagree, you're on an opposite side. And that's just what we have to get out of. And I'm going to leave you with this last point before I pass it back to Roundtable. Just broadly looking at everything we discuss, everything, we have to understand the nation is being ran by a bunch of crooked lawyers, and they're skillful in the art of deception, skillful in the art of misleading comments, skillful in the art of. So basically we have a country and the people are the jury, and then these people are the people that's making these arguments, complete propaganda. But the people are, some people are falling for it, and you can tell that by the polls. I know it's kind of on topic, but not. But to me, that applies to almost everything. So I'll give it back to
you want to know what's so crazy is a lot of these liberal-minded leftists don't understand is their wording and their hypocrisy in it. Like they say they want to fight for Medicare for all, but they tell us do not talk to white people. Like they really tell us to stay away from white people, even if you are leaning towards the middle. Even though they just did the same thing with the Lincoln Project. I mean, even if we do pass Medicare for all, who the fuck gonna get it? Nazis, white supremacists, school shooters, even the niggas in prison. Everybody is gonna get it. So there's hypocrisy in everything that you say. You want us to unite? Well, how can we pass Medicare for all if we don't talk to the white people? Oh, well, damn. Defund the police. Y'all just said the same thing, right? We have to talk to the white people in order to pass it, right? Y'all motherfuckers, it's hypocrisy in everything that you say and what you do. You liberal-minded, you woke, but you ain't there. You ain't there. You know what I'm saying? Because you still want people in these circles, in these echo chambers. In these echo chambers. And like people always say, well, Rome, you shouldn't work with these people. You shouldn't work with those people. I don't know who the fuck they is. I don't know what the fuck they do. I really can give a fuck. I'm a communist. My thing is people first. Titles don't exist. Like, even for me calling myself a communist is fucked up because it's a title, but that's how far I have to go to get rid of these fucking titles, to show you people that it's human life over being a liberal or a fucking Republican.
And I just want to jump in for a second, because one of the things that the Democratic Party does is they get us to focus on symbolism instead of actually focusing on what those people are doing. They did that with Obama. They did that with Kamala. And they'll get us to focus on, oh, he's going to be the first black president. She's going to be the first black female vice president. And we don't stop and think about the fact that, okay, you have black people in these leadership positions, but what exactly are they actually doing? and we're so focused on the symbolism that we miss that part. So when I bring up questions to people about what did Obama do for black people, it stirs up a lot of anger because nobody can answer that question.
And I have a point to make about that, and that is, I did a tweet about this too, or actually an episode on my Populist Voice, and that is diversity is irrelevant or diversity is negated if that diversity of skin color, for example, you don't also see a diversity of economic background, diversity of education. Like if you're getting, black, Asian, Hispanic people to be diverse, but they're all from Harvard. How diverse are you being? They're all from Harvard. They're all from upper level class families. That's not diverse, and that's essentially what you see the Joe Biden administration coming doing. Is for example, the defense secretary. Like that guy is through and through a warmonger, through and through. Like he is part of the military industrial complex. He bleeds it. Just because he's black doesn't make any difference to me. And this, I'm going to leave you with this analogy. This is what I always say when people say about all this diversity is, and especially Kamala Harris. I see Kamala Harris as Clarence Thomas. If Clarence Thomas was the first black Supreme Court justice, how much celebrating would we be doing? I view Kamala Harris the same way. Like there are milestones. Yeah, she's the first vice president of mixed race, but that's it. There's nothing that she gets beyond that. She doesn't get some sort of black card pass or Indian card pass at whatsoever. And I'll pass it back to you guys.
Let me make
All right.
this point here.
Sure.
Because I want to piggyback off something Rome said. That was really brilliant. Where he called the liberal class out because they was propping up Lincoln Project. And it's funny. There's people who want to fearmonger and say, "Oh, we shouldn't work with this person. We shouldn't work with that person." And meanwhile, the party that you guys are backing invited John Kasich to speak at your guys' Democratic conference and national convention when they nominated Joe Biden. And John Kasich is a notorious homophobe who actually passed homophobic policies in Ohio, and he was blatantly anti-abortion as well. So why are we not allowed to talk to white people who support Medicare for all, but you guys are allowed to prop up the war criminals? These same liberals are retweeting people praising George Bush, and George Bush is responsible for millions and millions of deaths in the Middle East. So you are propping up white supremacy. You are the white moderate that MLK has been warning us about. If you are the large percent of the white liberal Democrats who are against defund the police.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback off of that as well, and kind of going off of what CJ was saying too, is that it's this kind of idea of this fake notion of the meritocracy. Like, oh, they went to the elitist schools, they got through all the struggles, they went to the elite schools, and now they're one of us. But notice how often, especially like the journalists, how often they're failing upward. Like, yes, they might have the education, but really all these universities like Harvard and Yale, like they're not getting as good of an education as they really think they're getting. Like people who go to a public university can get just as good of an education. But the issue is that when you go to Harvard and Yale and Wharton, you get the notice of others like, oh, they went to the elite school. So they're part of the club. Like even like a lot of these businesses, like Brianna Joy Gray has said, like when she went to Harvard, she was seeing like a lot of these companies go to the black students at these universities. Like, hey, like here's APAC. We're gonna fly you over to Israel to see what's going on there, so they can propagandize you. Hey, come see like what we might be able to do for you at this corporation. That way you can start getting into the money, Like it's all this way of propagandizing people and getting them into the club. And it's this fake meritocracy that basically says, oh, if you went to these elite schools, you are cream of the crop. But all that is just networking. That's all that you get out of going to those elite universities. You get just as good of a of an education at University of Florida, at University of Virginia, and
If,
yeah. So I'll just stop there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Meg. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good.
JB, if you don't mind, do you mind if I take this over for a second? But I'm gonna need your help because I want to get you guys' thoughts on this story. I sent you the video of Dr. Cornell West on CNN, and we kind of were discussing the media complicity and propaganda they do for Joe Biden. JB, can you do me a favor, get that video ready and play it for us?
Yep.
This video is very interesting because it also shows, and a lot of people who are watching this probably wouldn't have this take, but I always announce, when I watch mainstream media, corporate media, always trying to see what their angle is. And when you watch this video, the angle that they are going with, they clearly want Dr. Cornell West and Martin Luther King III to defend Joe Biden and claim he has a black agenda. I want you guys to keep that in mind as you play this. It's about a 6-minute video, but I honestly think it's worth playing. I really think it's worth us watching all 6 minutes. I want us to watch the video, and then we'll go around and we get everyone's thoughts on the video. But
Can
I want
you
you guys to
describe
keep
it
in mind.
again, Nick? Can you describe it again? I just want to hear if I heard you correctly. Describe the video again.
It was Anderson Cooper. I think it was Tapper. No, Jake Tapper. He had Dr. Cornell West and Martin Luther King Jr. III on. And this is right after Joe Biden gave his speech about the Tulsa Race Massacre. We said we're going to have a black agenda. And CNN is desperate to get Dr. Cornell West and Martin Luther King Jr. III to agree that Joe Biden has a powerful black agenda and he's an ally of black people. But listen to Dr. Cornell. Like Martin Luther King Jr. III, man, very man here. But I'm not bringing this up to bash him. I'm bringing this up to highlight what Cornell West is saying. But I do think the 6 minutes of this video is worth watching. So JB, whenever you're ready, you can play it. And I want we to go around and we get A1 thoughts on this clip and your thoughts on what a black agenda really looks like. So it's those two things: your thoughts on the clip and what you think should be in the black agenda. But go ahead, JB, whenever you're ready.
All right, hang on.
Mr. King, let me start
Can-
with you.
can you hear it?
reaction to what you just heard.
I can hear it. So try to big screen it and try to center if you can.
Okay. You can hear it though?
Yo, center now. We're trying to gotta get the audio in. Just play it.
Okay. Let me know if you can hear it.
Well, I think the president
Just try to turn it up if you can.
very genuine, and the goals are appropriate. But as has been said, there's a tremendous amount of work that has to be done because of the vestiges of racism. What happened in 1921 and
Are you able to hear it?
other areas?
A little bit.
Significant.
You probably have to turn
Barely.
your computer screen, your computer
Around
volume
the
up.
same time, you had Rosewood in Florida, you had Ocoee in
I
Florida,
don't know how.
and many incidents
It's right there at the corner of your screen.
of the years that occurred
Yeah,
over
real
and
screen.
over again. So the question is, maybe we
Yeah, I think if there's a way to increase the volume, that would help.
as a discussion point. I know there's a commission in place, and I think because Americans don't know this.
Yeah, go to your original. Go to
They can
your
hear it, but they said the audio a
speaker.
little bit low.
Go to the speaker on your laptop, JB.
Okay.
If not, I put the link of the video in the Hampton Leftists group chat. I don't know. I think CJ only one else will have the access to it. Unfortunately, I can't get videos to work on apps for me.
Don't ask me.
You said I have access to something. If I can help, I can definitely
Hell yeah, we do.
help.
We need
while he's
tech
bringing it
support.
up, can you kind of paraphrase some of the things that
Okay,
Cornel West was saying?
while we work on that, I want to ask you guys because what Joe Biden was saying, he said he's gonna focus. Let's see, the audio better now on the video. Let's try it one more time. Is there any way we can increase the volume, or should we just move on?
Yeah, because we're wasting minutes. Let's see.
See, this is why I rather do Zoom, guys. But
Yeah,
this is why I don't like this. But
I fuck with Restream though.
was looking
It's
at
okay, man.
screen.
You guys know
Yeah,
we just got
let's
started.
see.
Support our Patreon.
Is it
Support our
playing?
Patreon and chill.
Right, and this shit won't happen. We have somebody to fucking hire for this shit.
We're not gonna have CNN Tech without CNN money. So chill, guys.
It's all right. Yeah, Nick, we can't. JB.
This nigga ugly as hell.
But Nick, can you paraphrase while he's trying to?
Okay,
get that?
so
Like, what is Cornell West?
I'm gonna play this video in full.
Bro.
On my live stream. My next
Just give up the hair. Why the fuck your hairline so far back? Like, you can't even see that bitch. Just give it up, bro. It's done. It's done.
Man, see, I wasn't trying to drag him, but he don't want to make people mad, man.
He deserved that shit. He ain't nothing but a clone anyway.
MK3, he don't want
That's
to
the
make no
reason
one
why they
mad.
got that nigga on there. He a clone. They know he's sell out. We can't find.
We can't hear it. We can't hear it. JT. You guys hear it? I can't hear it.
Nope.
No, we can't hear it. So
that's why I'm talking shit.
Let's see if we can
we
take
need
it
some
off.
black support for Biden. Who the first clone you can think of? Oh yeah, Martin Luther King Jr. the third. All right, we're gonna have to balance it out.
I could try to do it again.
Can we get Dr. Cornell West on the show too? Well, that nigga ain't doing shit yet.
JB, you can go back to us because I can't hear it. I can't hear it.
But
we need
to
get Zoom Plus so I can host these because this is ridiculous. I don't like it.
Yeah, I
keep warning you guys. I don't like this thing.
I did notice that when I was gone, Nick. I saw your shows. I'm like, wow, it looks a lot better. And I was like, oh, that's because it's Zoom. It looks a lot better.
Yeah, and I'm getting better at it too. So I had our logo there. Got a nice little chat box.
Yeah.
And then I know it's hard to set up, but I can at least host these. Hey, JB, you there? Let's switch from the video.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Cornell's is Mr. West or Dr. West is saying something good when the way he's.
So let me break down the video, and I when I have my next show, I'm gonna break down the video for you guys, so you guys actually hear him.
And I'm gonna break down his hairline. I'm gonna do a whole show on that nigga hairline and why he should give it up.
The gist of it is Jake Tapper wants Dr. Cornell West to say to the CNN viewers that Biden has an adequate pro-black agenda. But I think JB getting us spoiled up back here. But Dr. Cornell West, I mean, I was watching, I was nervous, like, please don't take the bait, man. But Cornell West, he's the man I respect. He didn't take the bait. He said Joe Biden needs to reconcile with his history of promoting white supremacy. And there's not a black agenda without addressing student loan debt. And Dr. Cornell West calls that out in particular. He said Joe Biden is responsible for that, responsible for mass incarceration. Mass incarceration is a part of white supremacy. So when Joe Biden said we condemn white supremacy, but you're continuing these white supremacy programs, like when I just cover how ICE is still using prison slave labor, how is that not white supremacy? When you supporting the apartheid state of Israel, when you support the endless wars in the Middle East, how is that not supporting white supremacy? When you go against basic campaign promises to get health care to your people, you can't even support a public option. How is that not white supremacy? That's how I see it. So Joe Biden, his entire career was complicit with that, and Dr. Cornell West calls it out. And I thought it was funny because the only time it's worth watching CNN is just to watch how bad they are. There's not any information. So Jake Tapper really didn't know how to handle this information. So he tried to switch touch. And he was like, and there's a point where he rebutted to Cornell West where he's like, yeah, I understand that Joe Biden didn't get his stuff done, but isn't it good that he's at least saying these things? And Cornell West was like, no, we don't care about the rhetoric. We actually want results. And you guys have doing these milquetoast policies is not fighting white supremacy. And I'm sure Cornell West is definitely going in the right direction with this, but I will take it the next step further. When you have Joe Biden's willing to fund ICE more, you guys know with the new budget, they are funding ICE more. The same people who will call sexually assaulting migrants, the same people that is filled with white supremacists. You know what I mean? This is a racist institution that the Democrat Party is funding more. So how can you fund ICE more and then say you fighting white supremacy? And that's why I will add to Dr. Cornell West's point. So that's why we got a lot of respect to Dr. Cornell West. I can't wait to talk to him again, ask him about those kind of things. And that's kind of what the video was. So I want to get everyone's thoughts on this because you guys can't really react to the video. So I still had another question for you guys because what Tapper wanted Dr. Cornell West to say was that Biden had a good black agenda. That wasn't true, and thank God that Cornell West didn't say that. MLK3, if you guys are just curious, he kind of fell for it. He was like, "Yeah, the Democrat Party, you can tell with the rhetoric." I'm like, "You suck, dude. Come on, bro." But anyway, I want to get your guys' thoughts. I want to start with Sabrina on Joe Biden's platform and what he's done so far. Has Joe Biden been a pro-black president? And do he has? So I'm trying to keep a straight face asking this. And do you think he is representing the black community well? What are your takes on Jake Tapper's line of questioning?
Absolutely not. Joe Biden has not, like, no. I mean, even if he wanted to go back and fix some of the things that he's done, he had opportunities to do so. So, for example, the crime bill, all of the crime bills that Joe Biden was a part of, what has he done to try to reverse the effects of that? He doesn't even want to decriminalize marijuana. He doesn't want to do that. He was supposed to do something about for-profit prisons. Didn't hear no more about that after that. So you still have all these people in jail for years, 20 years, for marijuana. He hasn't done anything to fix that. In reference to student loans, like we were talking about, he said he was going to bail out, or basically tell students that went to HBCUs that their student loan debt would be forgiven. That was a promise that he made to black students that went to black schools. Now we see that's not happening either. He doesn't even want to do the $10,000 that was proposed. So everything that Joe Biden has done throughout his political career has only hurt black people. It hasn't really helped black people, but people can dismiss it and choose not to see it because he was Obama's VP. It's like he gets a pass because he had a black friend. And Obama wasn't really that great either. There's a whole nother stuff that we can go into about that, but people forget that Black Lives Matter started under Obama, under a black president, under a black attorney general, and Cornell West talked about that too. So it's one of these things. It's like people think that because he's a Democrat that he's trying to help the black community, but this is a whole nother conversation I could get into, but the Democrats haven't really helped the black community either. It's just fake. He's not really helping black people. He's helping corporations like he always has done.
Let's get Rome in here next. I want to get Rome thoughts on the black agenda that the Democratic Party has. Does it live up to your expectations? I know Pramil Jayapal was really impressed. What about you, Rome?
Let me turn my hat backwards like Ash Ketchum. But no, I love how they go and pick black people that don't even live in black neighborhoods anymore. Like, yeah, Dr. Cornell West and saying King Jr. the third, they probably was born in the black community, but them niggas are not the black community. Don't stop having them speak for us, because we don't go through the same things, and they don't, like, even though they have a good idea of what's going on, they are not going through the same things we are going through. There's a difference in class of black people. Stop having them speak for us. Second of all, I like the way Cornel West handled himself. Especially with this black agenda. Like, even after the fact that we caught a hot mic with Joe Biden telling the Black Caucus to suck his dick. Even after the fact, they are still pushing this idea of a black agenda, even though there's no such thing as reparations in this man's mind for black people. How can you say a black agenda? Like, when you say a black agenda and Joe Biden in the same sentence, it better say, hey, we replace Joe Biden with somebody else who has a black agenda. That's the only way those words should be in a sentence together. Because that's the only way we're going to get anything past. Joe Biden is the reason why black people are stuck in the 70s. Every bill that he has passed pushed us back at least 10 years in that fucking decade. And prove me wrong. Every fucking thing, from the college to the 3 strikes to every fucking thing, Joe Biden is the white devil. And yeah. But first, yeah. Jake, shut the fuck up. Stop asking dumbass questions. Martin Luther King, man, just shave your head, boy. You probably look better, boy. But ain't no black agenda, man. Ain't no black agenda at all. Nobody gives a fuck about black people at the top. And all these black people, all these black faces in high places, they act like they act like they care. These niggas don't know us, man. They get so far up and they hang around is all these, all these rich people, all these celebrities, and they started to join that club and they don't see you around. Hey, you heard what George said.
There's a comment in here. And I go with I guess CJ go next, and I do JB last, and then JB will take over from there. But CJ will be next. But I want to read this comment from David first. He said MLK3 admitted that he didn't pay attention to politics until 2020 on an interview I watched. I didn't see that interview, to be cleared, just so I had that clarification. I want to ask the comments. Do you guys see that? And I want to ask anyone who have more knowledge on MLK3 than me, if you're watching this, leave a comment about your thoughts on him and Dr. Cornell West in general. I love reading you guys' responses in chat, and if you have any other additional questions. But for now, I will pass it to CJ. The question, since we didn't chance to watch the video, I just want to get your thoughts on the black agenda. Do you see Biden even attempting to have a black agenda, and what would be a good black agenda based on your litmus test, I would say?
I'm gonna start it without the mic. First thing, I do know a little bit about MLK3. He is in particularly awful. He's paid. That's why they bring him on. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's paid. He's pretty much a paid Democrat. He comes on and to be the black face to say what they want him to say. He was almost I forget what organization. I don't know if it was an NAACP or which organization he almost was removed because he wasn't doing any work. And then he said, "Okay, I'm going to start doing work." So there's a lot to look up on MLK3. As far as the question, of course not. There is no black agenda. But what we're witnessing too is the moving of the Overton window, if you will. Because if you say if you say Joe Biden is doing a great job with the black agenda, that means he's doing well. And that means there's a certain segment of black people who will say, okay, maybe my situation is not the situation, but they're saying, I just saw a black person is saying he's helping black people. Maybe it hasn't trickled down to me, but he's helping black people. And this is how the continued propaganda of black people being funneled to the Democratic Party through propaganda like this. It is absurd. It's almost offensive. It is offensive to even act like that there isn't even a black agenda in place. It's absurd. And it's particularly absurd coupled with the fact that Kamala Harris said that there's no racism, also with Tim Uncle Scott. And then all of this is on the back of all these murders of black people and black and brown people, people of color. Like, it's so absurd that we're seeing, it's like we're seeing court jesters tell us a story, but there's certain people believe in it. And it just is so frustrating to me that anybody buys anything that comes out of Jake Tapper's mouth, anything that comes on CNN, anything that comes out of MLK3. It's absurd. They're basically saying, forget what your eyes are telling you. America's not racist, and Joe Biden is doing great. Forget the fact that your uncle, your brother, your son is either dead or in jail for some drug offense. Forget all of that. Forget that you have $100,000 in debt, which is affecting the black community the most or disproportionately. Forget all of that. Joe Biden is doing good, and this is how that Overton window gets moved over. So I'll pass it back to whoever's next.
And the typical white savior, what they would say, "Oh, you guys got all these complaints. You guys attacking Democrats. Do you want Republicans to win?" As if the suffering of the black community is somehow lessened because the guy who's in charge has an R instead of a D. And one fact that shuts down the liberal argument really, really quick is when I mentioned to them that racial income inequality got worse under Barack Obama and Joe Biden. So you can't say that, oh, well, at least those people who got homeless, people who had a well tank, the people who were victim of their prison industrial complex, and the people who are victim of the prison industrial complex now, their pain and suffering does not decrease because the Democrat is in charge and they got a rainbow in their profile picture. If a police car got rainbow rims, that does not make the police officer who is beating you up feel better. And that's what the liberals want you to acknowledge. And I mean, we bring Meg on here because she understands all this. She understands like the actual substance of what it means to be supportive of Black Americans. So I want to get your thoughts on this and the idea of what what Biden did to Black American and the working class in general.
Well, I mean, Nick, didn't you hear like talking about how Black people want, student loan debt relief and Medicare for all? Those are white liberal talking points, bro. I mean, according to Twitter, like it's completely absurd. And they completely misrepresent what we're talking about when we talk about intersectionality. And like that's something I'm seeing in the comments right now. It's like conversation about intersectionality. Like intersectionality was created like before it was ever coined by Kimberly Crenshaw, who was a legal person. She's very much in that critical race theory development, and that's where intersectionality came from. But it all came from consciousness raising and left movements. Like that's where those concepts originally came from, like the Combahee River Collective, who came up with identity politics. And let's not forget that a lot of these organizations were founded by socialists. Combahee River Collective was a leftist, feminist, socialist, lesbian movement. That's where that originated. That's where a lot of these ideas, like the matrices of oppression and intersectionality, identity politics, they came from that, but they got co-opted by these liberals and neoliberals who just use it as dressing for whatever bullshit they're peddling. I'm not allowed to criticize Kamala Harris because that might paint me as a racist. But I'm not criticizing her based on her race. I'm criticizing her because she's locking up Black and brown people. She's perpetuating white supremacy much more than I am by criticizing her for those policies. If I'm criticizing her, it's based on her policies. I'm criticizing Joe Biden for his racist policies. Like the fact that the crime bill locked up mostly Black and brown people, the bankruptcy bill. You cannot offload your student debt. And guess who holds most of that student debt? Black and brown people. Black and brown working people, because they don't have mommies and daddies who can pay for them to go to elitist schools. So they have to take out massive amounts of student loans in order to get by. So to think that those things, student loan debt cancellation, that reparations should be paid to Native Americans who lost just so much too, to say that we can't have these things is a white liberalism. That's complete bullshit. That's what intersectionality actually is looking at all these issues and realizing that they're connected. These systems of oppression are connected. They're interlocking and they create new oppression. So that's what we're talking about. It's not saying like, oh, Kamala Harris is Black and South Asian, therefore she should be vice president because of representation. That's not what we're talking about.
Sorry, see, I'm passing right to you after this. I just want to get to a comment real quick, and I'll pass it to you, CJ. David Tyler said Lakota Native Indians are wanting to have their own country back. Will you guys be for helping them through your network with Jimmy Dore, Sarcasm Stardust, a good friend of me, discussing that's Misty, Gray Zone, love the Gray Zone, and close allies. If there was enough people talking about it, there could trigger an uprising nationwide, and they will get their own country. Now, let me be honest with you. I am 100% like I'm gonna go further left than I think most people would go because I do not have any love for this country. I want Native Americans to take this shit over. Like there should be a Native American president, and guess what? I will be on the front line wherever flag you guys want me to wave. I'm there with you guys. Like I want expel all the senators. There should be 50 Native American senators. There should be a Native American president. They should run this shit. I'll be down with that. I'm like, yeah, bet I'm down. I got you.
Right on, Nick.
Help out the black community too. I got you. It should be your country. So I am too. I'm definitely to the left than most people in the country on this issue. But I'm sorry to burst your bubble. And once again, I'm supportive, but there's no way it's gonna happen. There's quite literally zero chance that there's literally no way the United States will ever cede them any land. There will be blood before that happens. Like there will be blood, and I'm down for the cause, but I hope you guys are ready to die. I hope you guys are ready to have massive casualties, because you will have to. And a lot of people don't want to say this. You had to be extreme to say this, but you got to be willing to You got to take arms, and you got to be willing to kill government officials to get that to happen. So I just want you guys to know what it would take, because that is what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. But I just want to address that question. I'm sorry to interrupt you, CJ. You can share your thoughts on that, or if you want, and I want you to say what you want to say. But I just want to address that.
No, I just had a short comment about what Meg was saying, but I do want to make it clear to all of our streaming platforms that we're not suggesting anyone do that to any public official. We're just using it as an example. But what I wanted to say is about Meg saying that she's being called racist for critiquing Kamala. That is a particular point that gets under my skin. It's like, are you hearing the substance of the critique? Like, how is it racist that I'm saying Kamala Harris is tweeting or treating Black and brown people badly? Like, they just skip over the critique and just say the very fact that you're critiquing them is the racist part. Like, if you're not racist, that means you don't critique them, and that's just I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Hey man, I don't see color. And I don't see race. So I don't know where you are going with this, man. I don't know where you're getting with this, CJ.
And I don't see color. I don't see color. I don't see race. To me, that is another one of those comments of, I all my friends, I got friends that are Black, because if you don't see race, that means you don't see the fact that I'm being murdered by police because I'm Black. Like that's what that's saying. You don't see that, because if you're saying you don't see race, that means you don't see that. You don't see that my schools, where all these Black and brown people are going to, are being underfunded. Like, you don't see that if you're saying you don't see color. And I'll pass it back to the group.
So I saved. I think I got A1 here. I think JV the last one I want to chime in. I did it on purpose because I want JV to give his point here. I took over that segment, and I want to turn it back to you. But I want to get your thoughts on. I think we're talking about the Black agenda, and what's your takes on whether the Democratic Party and Joe Biden actually has a Black agenda, and does it meet your litmus test? Does it live up to your expectations? AOC apparently lived up to hers. Does it live up to yours? Unmute, JB. Or we can't hear you or something.
Y'all niggas be higher than me, boy.
It's cool.
Everybody be like, oh, shit.
We still can't hear you.
Donnie said, when we going to get it? I'm going to read some comments.
Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Is it working now, JB? Test audio.
I think he's doing something. What were you going to read, Nick?
I was just about to read some comments. She said when we're gonna have forgiving cheese to speak about foreign policy. Like I was very happy. I hope you guys check out my podcast with Asal Rad.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Sorry, I was feeling time. Go ahead, JB.
Okay. Sorry about that. Today, okay. As far as a Black agenda, there isn't one in regards to anyone that is even moderate. It's what's the best word I want to use? It's a facade. When it's just, for instance, what is a gay agenda, right? A gay agenda is not having a police car with rainbows on it. All right. A Black agenda isn't having a Black Lives Matter painted on the street. A Black agenda isn't giving a speech at Greenwood and Tulsa and talking about what happened 100 years ago. That is not a Black agenda. What a Black agenda is something that creates a system where each one of these identifiers, Black, race, sexual orientation, gender, what have you, are all put on equal footing, so that when you have that equal footing, people are able to live a life of dignity no matter who you are. That's part of the agenda. So for the Black agenda, that would mean us being treated as a straight white male. That would mean white women being treated as a straight white male. That would mean trans brothers and sisters being treated as a straight white male. This would mean gay people being treated as a straight white male. This would be Native Americans and indigenous people being treated like a straight white male. This would be people who are considered poor class or working class being treated as the upper class straight white male. So you get what I mean by this. There is supposed to be an agenda, but the only agenda that people like Joe Biden have are a classist agenda that appeals just to the upper echelons of society. And it takes all that up and it leaves nothing for the rest of us. So there is no true actual Black agenda or any other agenda for marginalized groups. And the mere fact that somebody, like, for instance, any members of the squad or anybody, for instance, like Martin Luther King III, saying that, oh, yeah, well, they have an agenda or they meet or beat my expectations, that is ignorance at best, but that's bullshitting you at worst. And the thing is that, number one, if they are ignorant, then you need to take that into account, because that means that there's something wrong with them. Because if they don't recognize that, then they don't have the whole entire picture, and maybe they shouldn't be in that position. Or if it is they're bullshitting you at worst, that's even worse, and you need to get rid of them because they're bullshitting you. And they're trying to make it seem like, oh, everything's hunky-dory, but everything isn't. So, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, there is no Black agenda with people like that. And the thing is that we need to change things so that our agenda, the Black or the working class agenda, needs to be addressed. And the only way it can actually be addressed is if we force their hands to address it.
Well said.
I was gonna say, like, what happened to Ice Cube's contract for Black America? You notice you don't really hear about it now. I know he said that when he introduced it, Trump agreed to at least sit down and talk about it, but Biden didn't respond. But I don't hear anything about that now.
Well, to respond to that, it was Joe Biden and his soon to be coming administration actually said that they gave him a let's talk about it later type of spiel. So that's one of the reasons why. I guess later means never, because we don't hear anything about it.
He said actually said after the election. They said let's
Oh, yeah.
after the election, and of course, I mean, just like with everything with Black, everything is put on hold. Hold on, Black people, hold on for freedom. And we've been holding on for 400 plus years, and it's not, the slow train of incrementalism. This is the reason why incrementalism, you should never accept it. It's because if you accept incrementalism, you'll never reach a final solution. You'll never have a whole solution at the same time. You'll never end police brutality. You'll never end oppression in all forms, for example. So unless you do it all at once, you can't do certain things incrementally. If you're paying off a mortgage, yeah, that's something you can do incrementally. But if you're trying to give trans people rights, if you're trying to eliminate imperialistic wars, you just have to end them. You can't do that incrementally. You can't save the planet incrementally. You have to do certain things have to be done all at once. And that is what I have to say about incrementalism and Democrats.
Yeah. You know what? One of the things that I want to bring up is actually we're picking on you today, Nick. Another tweet that you did, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but this was another really good tweet. And interestingly enough, it got well over 4,000 views. Hang on. Okay. So I'm going to blow this up here. And Nick said Joe Biden has only been the lesser of two evils for upper class white people thus far. Nick, what do you mean by that? Like, what are you trying to say?
I don't know why people are acting surprised, because I was calling this before the election. People was wondering why I refused to support Joe Biden. I was calling out people who was lying on his behalf. I mean, they was very open about what they was looking for and what they was going to do when they got into office, because they knew that enough people had Trump derangement syndrome. The only people they had to win over in order to defeat Donald Trump is the white upper bourgeoisie class. And despite what the mainstream narrative is, Joe Biden actually did worse with the black vote and the Latino vote than any Democratic president has done in the last few decades. I repeat, Joe Biden has done worse than anyone in the black vote or Latino vote in the last few decades. So what happened? You guys realize that Joe Biden had a significant increase of his chair compared to Hillary Clinton and the upper class bourgeoisie white community? Do you guys understand that the reason why the Democratic Party won the Senate races in Georgia was not because of an increase of black turnout? Do you guys know that the reason why they won the Georgia Senate races because they actually ate into the white upper class support that the Republican Party had in Georgia, despite what the narrative is. So the Democratic Party knew who they were appealing to. They're appealing to the upper class white people who feel like they need a giant police budget to protect them. Who does that remind you of? These are the Amy Cooper Democrats. The people that know, who are liberals, who they know that they can call the police on black men to get them in trouble because they've been or they've been stressed by them. That's what Amy Cooper has done. And I covered down, and I think the numbers of defund the police is very important, despite the narrative that it is supported by white socialists. It's actually the exact opposite. Even when defund the police was at its most unpopular, it was supported by Black America. And even now to this day, you had a giant amount of white America and a giant amount of white liberals that are dragging that number down because they still support giant police budgets. These are the white moderates. These are the white liberals that our ancestors has warned us about. The people who put Black Lives Matter in the profile, but they don't care about the Haitian immigrants that are being deported en masse. Then they want to give Joe Biden credit. Oh, Joe Biden halted deportation of Haitian immigrants. But bro, he already deported more Haitian immigrants than Trump did. And you guys don't want to push him and hold him accountable to abolish ICE altogether? So let me analyze that tweet. And I want to pass it to Meg. I want to get Meg started on this. I said the only people that Joe Biden has been a lesser of two evil for thus far has been upper white class America. And this is predictable because those are the only people that were kept safe by the Obama administration. What I mean by that, the Obama administration and Joe Biden right now, they are bombing the Middle East. So they were bombing Muslims en masse. Joe Biden was the vice president, the deporter in chief, and now he on track of deporting more people than Donald Trump did. Like, do you guys know that Barack Obama actually had more deportations than Donald Trump did in comparing first term to term? So who is the lesser of two evil when you talk about the Democratic Party? And then I explained before, and I explained multiple times. I don't want to have to explain no more, but all the times that the reason why Barack Obama tanked black wealth. And these are the policies that Joe Biden still supports. He still supports trickle-down economics. There's a story that just came out today how he conceded. This is the narrative. He conceded to Republicans. He didn't concede to Republicans on slashing the corporate tax rate. He agrees with them. He got to do the dog and pony show. He admitted during a press conference with Mitch McConnell that they agree on the Bush tax cuts. That's why they made the Bush tax cuts permanent. These policies are why we got racial income inequality. The fact that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris still supports civil asset forfeiture to this day that target Black Americans, that's why there's racial income inequality. So who is this the lesser of two evils for? And then guess who's telling you that? You turn on and you watch white streamers who make $200,000 a year. They're comfortable. They have health care. They live in Beverly Hills. I mean, they come from elite academia. They come from generational wealth. These motherfuckers say, we got to vote for the Democrat Party because they're lesser of two evils. What the fuck do you know?
Do I
What the
smell
hell do you
smoke?
know?
I smell
You're,
smoke. Sound like this nigga taking shots. I smell smoke from a barrel of a gun or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. Maybe I'm tripping, Nick.
we
Go
talking
ahead.
about
Go
wrong.
ahead. Go ahead.
But anyway, you got to get my point right. The people that are pushing the lesser of two evils, and I say on my show before, the lesser of two evils was, is, and will always be the privileged position. I repeat, the lesser of two evils is the privileged position because these are the people who can afford to live under neoliberalism. 68,000 Americans die each year. This don't even count with it will be post-COVID, but 68,000 Americans die each year because they don't have health care. Do you think they can survive your lesser of two evils nonsense? The people that are being deported to their homes where they have fascist leaders, the Haitian immigrants that fleeing from Haiti, the Palestinians that Joe Biden is funding, they funded their apartheid state and their genocide. Is Joe Biden a lesser two evil to Palestinian people? So my question is, who are they the lesser two evil then? I'm asking you guys. I'm asking the white saviors who had the nerve to yell at me for not voting for Jim Crow Joe, who's done more damage to the black community than anyone else. And I'm inviting the open dialogue. I want you to explain to me how Trump did more damage in 4 years than Joe Biden did in 40 to our community. And now Joe Biden is literally continuing all these Trump policies. Who want to take over from me? I think we have
Okay. So yeah. So I want to ask Meg a question regarding this. Now, you are, of course, as we can see, you are white, but you are also someone that is of the middle class or lower middle class, just like the rest of us. The quote that Nick said was that Joe Biden has been the lesser of two evils for upper class, stuffy classist people, white people who don't really give a shit, but really they don't give a shit about people like you either.
No, definitely not. Like Nick is absolutely right because let's be real. Like all that those suburban, middle class and the professional managerial class, like all they really give a shit about is the respectability politics. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as long as we're just so sick of all the bad rhetoric. We're sick of the mean tweets. We're sick of all of that nonsense. We're sick of hearing Trump, talk badly about, Mexicans or trans people or Muslims. So okay, so Joe Biden doesn't do that overtly. He does do it covertly. If you actually listen to what he's saying, because poor kids can do just as, if they put in the hard work, they can do just as well as white kids. Oops. He does that shit too. It's just more covert. As long as you listen to the record player at night, I'm sure you'll do just fine. But that's what they don't seem to get. And the other point that I wanted to make on that Nick was also correct about was that Joe Biden did do worse among Latinos and Black voters than any other Democratic candidate has done in years. And there's only one real reason that they even won the Senate. And Linda Sarsour was on Bad Faith not too long ago. I think maybe just a few days ago with Brianna Joy Gray. They were talking about the election in Georgia because Linda was down there organizing in Georgia around the time that Joe Biden won and when Warnock and Ossoff won. And the only way that they were able to get people out to vote was the $2,000 checks. That's what people went out and voted for because they saw, okay, Joe Biden is going to meet our material needs. We are in desperate conditions right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And we're all suffering. So finally, we're going to get a little bit of relief. So they were voting for the $2,000 checks. And once they went back on that promise, Linda went right back out into those communities that weren't voting before, who voted for those $2,000 checks. They said, no, he went back on that promise. We're only going to get $1,400. He went back on that promise. He promised $2,000. That's not enough relief. So no, we're not going to trust. We're not going to vote again. Fuck that. we're not going to trust these Democrats again because they're lying to us. So what's the point of us going out and vote? What's the
Yeah.
point?
Hmm. Very, very good. Thank you so much. And Sabrina, just wanted to bring you in this. Now, it's not, I do not want to be remiss that, yes, of course, for the stuffy, wealthy, white liberals, Joe Biden was the lesser of two evils. But let's not be remiss of the Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey liberals out there, too. We know that they exist, and we call them block, BLAQUE, block. And so, Biden as the lesser of two evils, basically for rich people. What are your thoughts?
So I can tell you after Super Tuesday here in Massachusetts, the first thing I did was I pulled up the map of Massachusetts, the voter map, because I wanted to see which counties went to who. So Biden got first place, Bernie got second place, and Elizabeth Warren, who I can't stand, got third place. So of course she didn't even win her own state. But one thing that stood out to me was that the wealthy suburban communities in Massachusetts went to Biden. It's Lexington, Concord, Acton. And Bernie did really well in the cities. Springfield, Worcester, Boston. Elizabeth Warren, for whatever reason, did really well in Cambridge. I'm sure there's a Harvard effect to that. And Bernie also did really well in the Berkshires, in the mountains. So, what that said to me is that even wealthy liberals here in Massachusetts don't really want everybody to have equality, even though they say that they do. They don't really want everybody to have health care to the point that they would vote for someone that was going to try to do it because they're comfortable, they're fine, and they're financially set. So these are the same people that I used to work with. I used to work at MIT. These are the same like professors that had like rainbow stickers outside their office doors. They had like Black Lives Matter stickers outside their office doors. But those same people, they say one thing, but their actions are different. So again, it was very clear to me that people here who really would have benefited from the policies that Bernie had on his platform voted for Bernie. And the people that it didn't really affect them like that, they voted for Joe Biden.
Rome, lesser of two evils for the rich. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on all that shit, man. Ain't no lesser of two evils. All these motherfuckers are evil. It just depends on how you take your Kool-Aid, how you take your medicine, man. And, the sooner you wake up from all that nonsense, the sooner you'll be better off, man. Like, I don't know what white liberals, how long they think this facade is gonna stay on. How long they're gonna keep this mask on? Like, as we can see, what black people are, basically getting together and pushing their agenda, we can see that, white liberals are saying, "Hey, these guys are radicals. They want a civil war. They want this and that. They blah blah blah." But at the same time, they got Black Lives Matter in their bios. Now, it's gonna get to a time where black people are gonna start saying, "Hey, we're gonna get out here with guns. We're gonna get out here like the Black Panthers," and white liberals gonna be, "Hey, don't do that." So it's only a matter of time. It's only so long that you can keep that mask on. And as far as man, ain't no lesser of two evils. Lisa Simpson, she asked, "What is we gonna do in 2024?" You thinking too far ahead. You still got next year for them to lose the Senate in the House. So yeah, that's what we're gonna let them. We're gonna let them lose. The left has an agenda. We know what we need to do. We need to fucking create bonds within each other communities in order to get anything done. We got to get back on the ground. Electoral politics. Nothing will get done, even in electoral politics. Especially in electoral politics, if you do not unite your communities. So, if you want anything done, you have to go back outside and say, "Hey, it's a long journey. It's an uphill battle, but we're gonna have to start the fuck over, and we're gonna have to do this a whole different way. We're gonna have to be more militant with our word. We're gonna have to be 10 toes down with the shit in order to get anything passed. Yeah, let them lose the midterms. Joe Biden, I think Trump gonna probably win if he run again. Let them do this little cycle that they're gonna, that they always take them through. They always take these people through, and that's gonna be their cycle. But what we're gonna do is something different as lefties, communists, socialists, whatever. We're focused on what's important here. And what's important is me and you, not seeing another fucking politician in a seat. Because no matter how you look at it, no matter if they're blue, red, or green, even at a certain point, they are all politicians.
Exactly.
And please trust me when I tell you this. They
Can I
talk
chime in with
about
something
you
after
bad.
this?
They talk about you bad.
CJ's next after, actually.
Okay.
All right. CJ, you are very astute with your analysis regarding this. The lesser of two evils argument is actually something that we've been seeing for literally decades. What is your rebuttal to this, and your thoughts on what has been said by the rest of the roundtable?
How my brain works is anytime I'm asked a question, I'm going to deconstruct the motive of the question. So,
Okay.
I don't mean that for you. I mean the question of lesser of two evil.
Of course.
Understand that our system of government is saying the way we should elect through a democracy is picking one of the two worst people. Do you understand the concept? Like, it's become so ingrained in how we think of politics, but just take a step back and think about that. We're selecting our officials based off of who is the least worst. To me, that says a whole lot about this so-called democracy. It also says that we've been living in a failed state for a long, long time, and we're just now maybe saying that out loud. But the election of Joe Biden it benefits who Nick is saying it benefits, the rich white liberals. And when I use the term rich white liberals, it's really just a category, because you can be of any race to be in that category called rich white liberals. I guess we give it that title because the majority, the people are white. So, but yeah, you could be, black in that category if you have that same thinking. But I want to leave you with this, and it was something that Nick was talking about, Amy Cooper. And I'm sure it's been said before, but it was just that just hit me when he said it. Amy Cooper calling the police during that the incident is her saying, I know that the police state is racist. That's what she's saying. She's saying, I know that I.
You're back.
Okay.
Yeah. Be patient.
Yeah. So I don't know where I left off, but Amy Cooper calling the police on that black bird watcher is her acknowledging, is an acknowledgement that's saying, hey, I know I can pick up the phone and call the police state and just mention the word black and they will be out here in a second. That is an acknowledgement that you understand that the system is racist. And I just think that narrative or that explanation was never really fully explained in mass media. It was that, yes, she's racist, she's calling it on this, but it was never discussed that if we had a system that was equal, why would she feel that she can call and lie? You get what I'm saying? She wouldn't feel that way unless she understands that our system is rigged against people of color. But to leave you and answer your question to answer your question is, I forget the question now. Sorry.
Well,
Everybody listens to you.
let's see what
Oh
we'll say.
yeah, I'm sorry, I already answered the question. But yeah, just to reiterate, I thought it was another question I missed. But just to reiterate, the lesser of two evil, it's a bad concept. I don't agree with it, but I'm just saying, take a step back. Why are we using that as the formula to elect people? Why is that the case? Like, why is in a democracy where we're supposed to be, America is exceptional, American exceptionalism, why is it we're picking our leader? Why is it we're picking our leader based off who is the least worst? Why is harm reduction a part of our equation for picking a leader of the greatest nation that ever was, according to the oligarch and the ruling class?
Nick, please, your thoughts.
I just want to piggyback off of something Ron was mentioning earlier, because he mentioned the midterms, and he's like, I thought it was funny because he said, "Fucking let them lose," and I was just imploring people to stop falling for this game that they were playing. And there's a pattern, and I was talking to Chris Smalls on his podcast where I was talking about the pattern that they play. And the pattern, people were like, I can't believe Joe Biden is not doing a public option even though he ran on it. I can't believe Joe Biden not canceling student loan debt even though he ran on it. I can't believe Joe Biden didn't all deportation. I can't believe Joe Biden didn't do this. I can't believe Joe Biden didn't do that. Meanwhile, guess who was calling that? Every single person on this show. Every single person on this panel said that Joe Biden wasn't going to do this. So how do we know? Because this is a clear pattern that they always do. So they run on a very ambitious agenda that everyone supports, just like Barack Obama ran on ending the wars. And so then when they don't accomplish that, voter turnout decreases because people get upset because the Democratic Party didn't uphold their promises. But then the next midterm, they run on, okay, we couldn't get that done, even though we held a majority of the government, even though we controlled Congress and Senate. We couldn't get it done, but don't worry, just support us. And if you get more of us in charge, we'll get it done. And then, of course, the American people are like, no, fuck you. You didn't do anything. We had government. So then the Republicans win. And then what happens the next election when we had a Democratic incumbent? They said, okay, so we lost the midterms. Now we can. See, I wanted to do all those things. So now we can't because the Republicans could the Congress and the Senate. Then they use that to win re-election. And then they don't do anything in the re-election. This is the same pattern the Democratic Party has played for the last few decades. And I implore people to stop falling for it. So stop falling for this bullshit they do every fucking 2 to 4 years where they pretend they're going to get something done, even though it's clear they wasn't. It's clear they wasn't going to get done. And people thought I was lying when I said it was going to get done, but it's clear they're not. There's no lesser two evils. That's what they plan on doing. But I'll pass it back to JB. I just want to add that last part there.
There's something that I want to bring out, and I want to thank Meg for this. She actually showed this article, and this actually really goes to show about the whole lesser two evil things. It really is just a bunch of BS. I'm going to read just a little bit of it here. It says, this is from patch.com. It's an article by William Bornhoff, ex-Minneapolis mayor on cop reform, quote, white liberals block change. It says here, Betsy Hodges writes in the New York Times that white liberals have resisted the systematic changes our cities have needed for decades. It says, in the second paragraph, says much of Hodges' only term as mayor was dominated by police violence, including the 2015 killing of Jamar Clark and the 2017 killing of Justin Damon at the hands of the Minneapolis police officers. In her opinion piece for the New York Times, Hodges blames the white liberals for maintaining the status quo in Minneapolis and blocking systemic changes our cities have needed for decades. I just want to get some reflections, some thoughts on this particular article. First off, I want to start off with Meg. You shared this article, and I would just want to thank you for that. What was your initial thoughts when you first saw this article?
Basically, it just kind of proves everything that MLK and Malcolm X have said so long ago. The white liberal is the barrier to change. And I mean, that really, she basically laid it out. Like, white liberals pretend to be your friend. They pretend to, just because they have a D next to their name doesn't mean that they're your ally. Because they'll pretend to be your friend, and they'll pretend, like, their rhetoric is all good. Like, oh yeah, Black Lives Matter, Pride, we support reproductive rights. But when do you ever see them fighting for anything that's related to that? Even Joe Biden, like, yeah, he'll do the public option. He'll, raise the minimum wage. But then the first opportunity that they actually get to do that, oh, sorry, the parliamentarian. What are we going to do? The parliamentarian, Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin's going to block it. What are we supposed to do? Like, they always have excuses. They will always play up the excuses as much as they can. And then if that way they don't actually have to do any of it. They just pretend to be your friend, then they stab you in the back. They're not our ally, they're our frenemy. And once we actually realize that, once we see that the white liberal is always going to be the one who's actually blocking progress, because they don't actually want progress, then the sooner that we realize that and say, okay, well, fuck you, we'll do it our own way, and stop electing these losers, then the sooner that we stop electing them, and we actually start. I know some of you guys don't really believe in electoralism anymore, but if we at least try to elect people that we hopefully will see as our allies, not people who run as Democrats. I mean, I don't like dealing with labels. Like, I still like Nina Turner, but I understand why some people are skeptical of Nina Turner now because she's running as a Democrat. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if we can elect independents or Greens or whoever, get people in who are actually our allies, but not just electoralism, actually doing mutual aid, doing a general strike, actually organizing on the ground, not waiting for these people who are in Congress to tell us to organizing on our own, because they're not there to fight for us anymore. We've seen that with the squad. If they were actually fighting for us, they would be blocking bills that don't have the $15 minimum wage. They'd be voting as a block, not to give more money to the Capitol Police, but to defund the police. Mm-hmm. That would prove that they're actually our allies. Mm-hmm. And just like Hodges is saying here, if they're going to be blocking change, then we have to fight back against them. They're not our allies.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Thank you. I would like to get Sabrina, your thoughts regarding this article, and what do you think what Meg has said so far?
Yeah, so I definitely agree with Meg. I think the biggest thing is that with like white liberals, the reason why they do block change is because they know that if they do push for these things, not only would it make our lives better, but then that means that their life would change. And this is really important because some of those same people, like I said before, they have BLM signs like in their yard. Some of those same people don't want Black people to do better economically and financially in this country, because then that means we'd be living in their neighborhoods. And some of those same people don't want Black people living in their neighborhoods. They don't want Black people next door to them. I went through this last year when I was looking for a house, when my husband and I were looking for a house. There's a lot of racism in real estate. And it's one of those things, like the first time you're doing it, you kind of get a handle on things, but we had a workaround for it. But there's a lot of racism in real estate. And a lot of people in some of these like wealthier white neighborhoods, whether you have the money to live there or not, they will make it clear to you that they don't want Black people living in that neighborhood. And that's primarily what that's about. So yes, they may believe that we should have equality. They may believe that, yes, gay people should have the right to get married. But like they do in Massachusetts, they want it at arm's length. They don't want it next door to them. They don't want it right in front of them. Now, they'll never say that, but their actions will show you that.
Separate but equal.
Mm-hmm.
You muted, Jay.
My apologies. So I wanted to go to CJ next. What are your thoughts about the article?
Well, can you kind of
Sure.
paraphrase the article, Meg? Or
Sure.
JB? Whoever?
Sure. The headline says ex-Minneapolis mayor on cop reform, white liberals block change. And she said, in her opinion, for the New York Times, she said white liberals She blames white liberals for maintaining the status quo in Minneapolis and blocking systemic changes in our cities that have been needed for decades.
Yeah. So, my opinion on white liberals blocking change, in particular, change about the police state, is they buy into the propaganda that Black people are violent, that people of color are violent. So to them, in their mind, police are doing their job by protecting them, the white rich liberal, from those people. So, I mean, and isn't that the job of police from the beginning? I mean, it's to protect that class of people. So, just like Meg said, just like what MLK and Malcolm X has told us, that the white liberal is the problem. And this is the broader point, and Nick has mentioned this in several episodes. This is the reason why we talk only mostly about Democrats, because these are the ones who are pretending to be our friends. We don't need to talk, like people would say, why do I never talk about Trump? Because he's Trump. Do I need to tell you Trump is awful? Because mainstream media and everybody's saying that. But mainstream media is telling you the Democrats are good guys, and I'm trying to tell you they're the same as Republicans. So yeah. So that's sort of, my take on the whole thing.
Okay, thank you so much. I wanted to go to Rome next, please. This is basically about, just want to reiterate about a former mayor saying on police reform that white liberals have been blocking change. What are your thoughts?
Yep, it's just like I said before. It's only so long that they can, hide that Black Lives Matter mask over their face. Until we really start, when they see change is really about to happen, they're going to do whatever it takes. They're going to be the first people in the on the front line to block whatever change and whatever good comes to the Black community. And we've seen this happen through many generations. And we can even take this back to slavery, if you would like. The same white liberals and their families were just rolling, just rolling into slavery. Like, they didn't give a fuck about, really abolishing slavery and none of that. They was, using the slaves just as well as their husbands were. And now it's the same fucking thing. Now it's the same thing. We work for their families, and they do not want the slaves getting up. They do not want the slaves having getting a leg up in the game. It's as simple as that. They only can hide their racism for so long. Because once we really get out here, this is why they hate niggas like me. Because I get out here and I really try to pull people together, and Black people together, brown people, communities, all across this nation. And once they see people like that, they're like, holy crap, he's not playing. He's just, he's not just talking about it. He's not playing.
Okay. Thank you very much. And Nick, I would like to get your thoughts on this article too. You're pretty vocal about this, and I just like to get your thoughts really quick on this article as well. Just to remind you, it says ex-mayor cop on police reform, white liberals block change. So your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we are literally seeing an example of that. The president of the United States, Joe Biden, is blocking the change that Black activists are asking for. This is a long standing problem that has been decades old. The white community, they can pretend they're on the side of white issues, but when it comes to sacrificing capital, when it comes to actually challenging the generational wealth and the corporate establishment that they benefit from, there's no way they will ever actually give you guys legitimate change. I want to take this time. I want to show, this is very slightly off topic, but this kind of relevant to what we're talking about as well. I'm gonna try to share screen this. So can you put it on my screen here as well?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is how easy what we are asking for can be accomplished. And the white liberal class, what they try to do, they try to divide and conquer. Where they have black issues, where it's like, all right, just if something has just black in the name, or are we gonna get black business on? I mean, that must be everything we must do. But if you look at the real issues, can you guys see this? I just want to make sure you guys can see this accurately. But I was mentioning real working class issues are black issues. The working class issues that the liberals and Joe Biden, Democrat Party deny, like they can simply cancel medical debt. That what Bernie Sanders is right now. They can easily do that. And this is what Brianna Joy Gray, this is what she points out. Canceling all medical debt will cost less than this. And these same white liberals who we're talking about, they fund the military more. Who are governing these places with giant police budgets? You got giant LAPD budgets, giant like NYPD budget is literally 2 times bigger than the Iranian budget, military budget. It's over three times larger than the North Korean budget. It's not Republicans that are funding these giant budgets. It's the Democratic Party. These are blue states. So you have partisans. You have people that play the red-blue nonsense. They want you to believe that the fight against police brutality is just as simple as supporting the Democratic Party. And then it's as simple as voting for the Democrats at midterm. It's the Democrats that are funding the police state. So it's more than the white. It's just like they said. It's like the white liberals they don't just fail to advocate for our community. They actually fight against our community. So it's clear by their actions and the fact that they fight people who challenge the Democratic Party from their left. Like, there's no one that is more dangerous to the black community than a Jennifer Rubin. There's no one more dangerous to the black community than a Lincoln Project. So I want people to understand and get the priorities straight. Yeah, like the Republican Party, Josh Hawley, my senator, yeah, they are extremely problematic, but those right-wing ideologies are only propped up because of neoliberalism. Neoliberalism in the white liberal ideology leads to the fascist right wing, and they do nothing but prop them up. Because as you see, Joe Biden said we need a strong Republican Party. We need strong conservatives. So they always smear the left as being weak on the right, but it's always them who apologize and implement their policies. So that's my take on that. Be aware of the white liberal and stop listening to their propaganda and pretending they are on our side.
I go to college in the UK. With that,
Sorry.
Somebody queuing up a video.
I'll pass it back to JB. That's what I had to say on that.
No, I'm doing so. I'm a little busy. Y'all go ahead and continue what you're doing.
It's cool. We have about like 15 minutes is what anyway. So I won't pass it back to JB. Be aware of the white liberal. Stop. JB has some audio playing. I mean, I'm more than happy to take it. If that's what we're doing.
No, it's not that. Yeah. So one of the things that I would like to, I don't know, something's happening here. But yeah, since we're giving our final thoughts, we only have a few minutes left. I want to go back to Meg. So I know that you are the co-host of Nerdolitics that it premieres on, forgive me, is it Mondays?
Yeah, it's Mondays at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific.
Mm-hmm. And you guys are looking at the road to the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Last week, you guys you and Jackie just finished your expose on the road to Endgame, and you guys discussed that. So now you guys will be discussing the implications and the connection between politics that we see in the media as far as Falcon and the Winter Soldier and how it connects in real life. So if you want to expound a little bit on that and tell us what you have coming up.
Yeah, so we just finished our road to Falcon and Winter Soldier. We talked about Endgame on Monday, although we talked about Endgame very little. We ended up getting into a very interesting conversation. It was Jackie, myself, and RJ We got into a
Mhm.
really interesting conversation dissecting the differences between capitalism, socialism, and communism. So
Mhm.
if you want to check out that conversation, it was fantastic. And we definitely got into a lot of the nitty gritty of the differences between those systems. But then, yeah, next week we are getting into Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we'll be talking about all the different nuances of, like, including like being a refugee, the racism that Sam faces, and becoming the next Captain America, and the journey that he's on in order to become Captain America. How Bucky, who is the Winter Soldier, figures into that, especially as a white ally. So we'll be getting into all of that. So definitely check out Nerdolitics next week.
Great. Thank you so much. Sabrina, our sister from another mister. Now, what do you have coming up? Anything interesting? Please share. We want you to spill the tea all over the table.
I defer to Nick because I'm waiting to find out my date.
Okay, all right. Well, stay tuned. You guys will be watching the Sabby Shab show with Sabrina. We want to defer to Nick. So, Nick, what do you have coming up on the docket, man?
We will have Ron Cohn on Sunday. Around the same time I usually stream, 4 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate everyone who's been tuned in. I had a lot of great interviews. And yesterday, me and Sabrina, we were talking to Cherry Hanakala, and she was discussing the Poor People's Army. And I'm very inspired by the housing takeovers that we were talking about, because I am not sold, and I have no confidence in electoral politics anymore. I believe the only way we can improve people's lives is by acting directly. We cannot, like Bernie Sanders, LC. None of these people are going to save you. Like it's upon ourselves to improve our community. So I hope you guys like don't buy into that. Like look into what activism is available in your community and support the Poor People's Army as well. That was Sherry Honkala we were talking to her about, and that's the main thing I want to continue to promote, because I know Ron Cohn, he always talk about municipal broadband, and then that's actually something you can get done doing with activists in your own local community. So we upload every single day. RJ is not on the panel today, but he has revolutionary jargon that comes on every Friday, and we have usually.
Nick, you got muted.
Okay.
There you go.
I hope that wasn't me. I think I wasn't me the whole time, right? But
No,
No, just for that part.
just for that
I
part.
think that happened last. I think my mouth took over it. But anyway, Rome wasn't with us on Saturday because he was doing a tour for the poor, and that's when we had Dora on last time. But Saturday we usually have like a chill stream. Sunday, JB, you can expect something from JB, but we will have a special episode with Ron Pacone on Sunday as well. But the point is, we upload every day, and we appreciate the new like crowd that we have now. So I hope you guys stay with us, because we have a lot of different variation among our content, and that's what we were trying to accomplish here, because we all coming from the same point of view, but you all get a different flavor for our show. So support us, and make sure you check out Fred Hampton Leftists on Patreon as well, because the more support we get, the more high quality content that you're gonna have delivered. So once again, check out all the shows we upload every day. Thank you guys.
All right. Hey, CJ, what do you have coming up? I know that you have some really great quality programming ready for us.
Yeah, actually, I'm working on a couple of things. So first, with the Populist Voice Network, added 5 new podcast hosts. Actually, the Sabby Sab show is now part of the Populist Voice Network. So that actually also happened. Straight Out of Politics will make its Wednesday return next Wednesday. I'm going to begin a series called Oppression and Trauma, or Trauma and Oppression, in American Oppression. That's going to begin. I'm going to be doing several episodes with the professor. I call him the professor, but Professor Z or Professor Zinkas. So hopefully I can get him next week, but if not, the following week. So I'm doing that. The Populist Voice, some more host, and I just talked to Sky Daddy. And we're gonna begin. We've both been busy, and that's the reason why our show, we're doing a joint podcast called Deconstructed. And we both been kind of busy moving. Both of us happen to be moving and just changing jobs and all that stuff. So we're finally going to get to working on the premiere for that particular podcast late June. So that's all the things I have I'm working on right now.
Perfect. Rome. I wanted to go to you last because it seems like Forgiven Cheese in the chat, and she just can't wait to hear your voice. So what do you have coming up? I know you just finished the tour for the poor, and that was exciting and a beautiful thing to see. So what you got coming up?
Oh shit, I ain't finished, nigga. I'm still on my way to Seattle. Then I'm gonna have to do North Cal, all through California. I'm doing New Mexico. Then I'm heading back to I should be in the middle of that. I should be getting back to Florida for a protest, and I think I'm leading a march, and I'm gonna lead a march here in Detroit. So there's a lot of shit I'm doing, but I got a website coming out so y'all can track me down. In case y'all don't know where the fuck I'm at, because I don't post like I should. But it's either you want me to be a reply guy or you want me to have a Twitter page. So it's either you're gonna have to make sacrifices. So I'm gonna be on my website and in Discord, Fred Hampton Leftist Discord, more than anything, you know what I'm saying? I gotta start being on that so you can catch me there. And Forgiveness is all talk. Don't believe her.
Okay.
She's all talk.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as
Hey Rome, you coming down to SoCal, right?
Yep.
Hey, they can't put me and Rome together, bro. That's
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
Dude,
you know
I'm
what? I want
film
this to
a
happen.
bunch of shit.
I need this to happen.
I'm gonna take you to the spot and get you the best shit. I'm telling you.
This is going to happen.
Spots, Rome,
Look, we're going to
here.
make this happen. This is going to be some good stuff.
Yeah.
And just to let you guys know, on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this Sunday, I'll be having Michael Tenevasa on, also known as the non-voting felon. We will be talking about the election in Samoa. Also, we're going to be touching on the way people who have, felony records and in prison are treated, especially by many people who either are liberals or on the left. Now, how are they treated? This is something that I think that we need to have a discussion on. And so I just want to thank all of you. But one of the things I want to bring up is also, please make sure to go to fredhamptonleftists.com. And also make sure to support our Patreon on patreon.com/FredHamptonLeftists. This is, as you know, the algorithms, they don't like us. They see a cornucopia of leftists, as you can see here, and what we want is actually diametrically opposed to their interest to keep the wealth at the top, because we want everyone to have a life that is of dignity. I just want to thank all of my co-hosts. You guys have been amazing. Thank you for bearing with me. And I just want to give you all a shout out. There was somebody's birthday that was being said. I'm not sure if that was a spammer or not, but whoever it is, happy birthday. What, you have something to say?
Do we have a moderator in our chats?
I'm not ignoring you. Yeah, I'm moderating.
Okay, because I saw some crazy stuff earlier.
Yeah,
racist stuff earlier.
I just wanted to show you.
It wasn't. I
want to show y'all this. I got to show y'all this, okay? Because it's a bot farm out there that's against my page. Like, it's a whole Christian network that's like against black communism, basically. These are some of the names. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you.
The other way. Put the phone out. There we go. Right there.
Bro, these are some of the names. Like, they act like I won't be able to tell who dislike. You know what I'm saying? Right now, like on my page, I usually get a good ratio, but now it's 10 likes, 9 dislikes. Guess who those dislikes are from? The bots that keep spamming and spamming and spamming. So it's some cleaning up I have to do. And this is my fault for doing
Yeah, I
that.
was looking at the
Crazy.
Hampton Leftist. I'm monitoring the Hampton Leftist YouTube channel, and the comments not showing up on there, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. They're
They
coming
probably
from
got
my
like
page.
something that you
They're coming
connected.
from my page.
Yeah, probably
they
wrong something that wrong connected to, because we see it on our Hap side, but on it's not on the Hampton
Okay,
YouTube comment.
good,
So
good.
all we gotta do is like ignore the Hap side, honestly.
Yeah, that's why I'm popping in and out. That's why the audio was popping in. I apologize about everything. But we still have some ins and outs, but this is why you should. I know Sabrina is hot, by the way, right? But no, this is why we should this is why y'all should subscribe to our Patreon so we can hire some smart motherfucker, some IT tech motherfucker to do this shit. I'm not about to be doing this shit all day. Like I don't have the time. I don't even if I had the time, trust me, I don't want to do it. I
Yeah,
don't want to
I
do it.
hear you. I
So,
hear you.
Man,
I
you guys
hear
know what
you.
we're
it is
about.
what it is.
Hampton
Call me
Leftist.
lazy, call me what you want.
Thank you all for watching. Please, like if you enjoying our stream, like
That's
once
it.
again, you gotta know what we're about. Support us on Patreon, Hampton Leftist. Hit the bell. We upload every day. Last thing you want to say, JB? We're about time to wrap up.
Nope. We will see you in the next one.